Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss one important behavioral design pattern called as chain of responsibility. So chain of responsibility is useful when it promotes loose coupling. So for example, let's say the practical example that we are going to discuss today is about the credit card validation, where we are going to demonstrate how you can use chain of responsibility design pattern in Java for credit card validation, right? So for example, you have let's say you are having some online application where you are doing some kind of online e-commerce application, and you get like a payment request, right? So in that request, let's say you get, let's say, three different type of cards you can get, like a Visa credit card or American Express credit card, or Mastercard, right? So these three types of cards you can get in your payment request, and you want to validate those cards, right? The card number, the expiration details, those kind of things you want to validate. So if we are not using chain of responsibility pattern, then in that case, you will end up writing different kind of validators, one for each of the credit card type, right? You will write, for example, you can write one validator for Visa credit card, one validator for American Express credit card, one validator for Mastercard. So you ended up writing like three different kind of validators. So at that place, we can use a chain of responsibility design pattern. It is very helpful in that case, because as it says, like client sends request to chain of handlers, right? So we can write handlers, and appropriate handler will handle the request, right? So that's how the chain of responsibility pattern works. So for example, in this case, since we have three different kind of credit cards, we will write three different handlers, but we are going to chain them together, right? And then at the runtime, whenever we get a request, automatically appropriate handler will handle the request. So for example, let's say this is our just a normal Java bean class called as card, and it has number, type, expiry month, expiry year, so those fields. And basically, we have written this kind of abstract class called as card validator. And in card validator, we are going to have a method called as validate that is going to be implemented by the subclasses. So we will implement three subclasses for the validator, one for each credit card. So for example, I implemented this Visa card validator. It extends the card validator, right? And it will implement the validate method here. So what we will be checking here is if the card type that we are getting this request, the request is a card request, and we will check if it is a Visa card, then we will just going to validate a card, right? Here I am just going to do system.out.println, but in reality you will actually use the fields of the card here: number, type, expiration month, expiration year. And you, like, typically you either will have some kind of API or something which will validate the card, and it will tell you if it is a valid card or not. And if it is not a Visa card, then we will just pass that to the next validator, right? So this is one validator that we implemented. Another validator we implemented is Mastercard validator. Here we will validate Mastercard, right? And the third validator we implemented is for American Express validator, right? So here it will validate the American Express credit card. So now after we implement this subclasses of the card validator, then we are going to chain them together here. Like this is one chain class we have created, and it is going to it has one field card validator, right? We just called it chain, and we are going to build the chain how we want to, like in which order we want to validate the card. So first we will validate the card as Visa, and then American Express, and then then Mastercard, and then American Express, right? So this chain we are building. So whenever we get any request to validate a card, it will go through this chain one by one, right? And then try to validate the card. For example, let's just I just implemented one small test class here where I am passing a Visa card, right? I created a Visa card. This is sample Visa card, and want to validate this card, right? So I will just say chain dot validate, and automatically this chain will go through these three validators one by one, and whoever is is appropriate handler to handle this credit card, then it will be handled by that handler. For example, Visa credit card will be handled by Visa card validator, right? So this is the appropriate validation handler for Visa card, so it will be handled by this handler. um, yeah, so let's go here. So if I again created another card request with Amex and another card request with Mastercard, so all these requests will be handled appropriately by the handler. So let's just quickly run this and show you. So see, validating Visa card, right? So it automatically goes to the Visa card handler, first one, as you can see here. See the Visa card handler, and it will say validating Visa card because it's a Visa card that we have given, right? Now the next one we gave is the American Express, and the third one is Mastercard. So as you can see, this one is American Express, it's validating, and it's validating Mastercard. So this is at a runtime, whatever request comes, the chain of responsibility pattern decides which handler to hand it over, and which handler will handle the request basically. So that is what we wanted to demonstrate here. So here is the main important thing where we create the chain of the validator, right, one after other. So this is one thing, like one important thing. So as you can see here, the validator constructor takes card validator, and it just calls super validator, right? So it just assigns the card validator here, and when we get the request to validate, it will use the appropriate validator, and it will call that validator request to validate the card. And one other thing is, like, for example, if we get a bad request, let's say instead of Mastercard we just get some kind of a bad request like XYZ instead of that, then it appropriately gives us a message that it's an invalid card type, right? Because we don't have any handler. So automatically, as you can see here, um, so let's just go here, like this card validator. So see, if it's not happening, like if it's not finding any appropriate validator, it will go in else, and it will say invalid card type. So this is how the chain of responsibility works. So it calls, it calls one handler after other, and the chain we have to create, we have to build the chain here, where we will decide which validator we want to call it first, right? So that is the main thing, like I wanted to demonstrate the chain of responsibility and how we can use it, one of the practical examples. So so whenever, like this is much better actually, because it's like a loose coupling it supports, and it's one of the important behavioral pattern. So in many applications you will see that somewhere they will be using chain of responsibility, mostly. So I just thought that it's a good to create a small video on the chain of responsibility pattern, so you will know how to implement chain of responsibility pattern. So I will be putting this code into my GitHub account, so I will provide you the link in the description. You can look the details of the code there. But pretty much, this is what I explained you in details, how we have implemented validators and how we have built the chain here. The chain is here. So this chain is important part, because it actually decides which validator will be called first, which will be called second, and so on, so I hope this video is helpful for you. So I often create videos regarding the Java J2E interview questions and Java J2E related important things for on the perspective of interviews. So please subscribe to the channel. This helps the channel to grow and reach to more people. Thanks for watching the video.